Okay, my name's Dudesidabe. So, I was looking over the tournament brackets for Heroes of the Storm coming up here in a bit. I mainly focus on the North America and European groups. So, something very exciting happened today. Bob Ross Fan Club has signed with Naventic. I hope I'm saying that right. Uh, People have been wondering for quite some time, really since they qualified, who was going to sign them, who was going to sponsor them. Bob Ross Fan Club is insanely talented. They are a very, very good team. Um, Leads to the next point. So we have some brackets coming up. The brackets are yet to be decided for the tournament, but just looking on the American side here, of the teams we have, Naventic is now Bob Ross Fan Club, as I said. I think uh, I really don't think there is a question who's the top two right now. Team Naventic and Cloud9 have very much distanced themselves from the pack. I think uh, Cloud9 is incredible mentally. They really don't. If they ever fall behind, they don't break. They just continue their play, which usually nets them a win. The Cloud9 is last year's world champions, and I think they've only had one switch. Their carry Fan has gone to Team Naventic, and Cloud9 picked up Arthalon from Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm was the runner-up in the American tournaments last year, and people thought they would do well, but they went through a lot of roster changes. They lost who am I thinking of? Zuna went to Naventic, Arthalon went to Cloud9. I'm sure they lost another player that I can't think of, but they still have Soldier. Um, but they're a very different team now. Tempo Storm is. So a lot of people thought that they would be up there, but Bob Ross Fan Club really came out of nowhere and asserted themselves immediately. Um, like I said, Cloud9, I think their mental game is the strongest of everybody. They have really good. Their strategy is very strong. K1 Pro is probably the best Tyrande in the world, and his ability to really land some snipes with the owl is immensely impressive. But there's also, Dunk Train on the team, who last year played a lot of supports. I know he can play a lot more than that because he's an incredible player. Um, Probably, in my opinion, Dunk Train is top five in America as skill goes in this game. He's incredibly talented, but Team Naventic, or Bob Ross Fan Club, as they were throughout the tournament so far, they are just so dominating and incredibly fun to watch. Their team fighting is just so beyond what everyone else is, because it's not they combine the effectiveness of smart team fighting with the aggressiveness of um, just dominating you throughout the game. And I mean, everything I was watching, there's really only one game where they had a slow start. Where I think it was actually against Tempo Storm, where Tempo won the first team fight and they took a little bit of a lead, and then Bob Ross Fan Club destroyed them through the rest. Like they never won another team fight. Tempo Storm didn't, and Bob Ross Fan Club was just dominating. That's really how they were throughout the whole tournament. Just so good at team fighting. So where Cloud9 is really, I think, the strategic team, the smartest team. They win mentally. Team Bob Ross Fan Club Team Naventic just dominates you from start to finish, and I mean, no matter what their draft is, really, they never had a bad draft, so that they never really got something taken away that they weren't good at, or that they were good at. But so I really think Team Naventic and Cloud9 are the top two, and it's not even close. After that, I think third place is probably a tie between Tempo Storm and Team Blaze. They seem to be the best to assert themselves. Tempo Storm didn't qualify till I believe the third qualifying tournament, but they really should have qualified sooner, I think, because they're better than that. They're still a good team, even though they lost most of their team to others. Um, Otherwise, Team Blaze, very good. They were probably the best team to challenge Team Naventic. The only team that they really had a struggle with outside of Temple Storm at the start of that one game was Team Blaze. They kept up the best. Let's see here. Panda Global, King of Blades Alpha. King of Blades Alpha is actually a really interesting story. Uh, they were not supposed to qualify, really at all. They are kind of the dark horse. Zoya of Tempo Storm has been saying it for a while now that he really thinks they're the dark horse per se. They, when they first started, they were not good. They could not compete at a competitive level at all. And just out of nowhere, with no significant roster changes, they pushed themselves into the competitive level. I couldn't believe it. It's pretty crazy to see how quickly they developed as a team and as players. So they will be an exciting one to watch in this. I don't think they'll place even fourth. I think fifth could be a good spot for them, but I think Cognitive is probably going to take fifth. But I mean, all eight of these teams are getting paid at this point, and only the top two will advance to Worlds in Korea coming up a little bit later. But another interesting story is Team Nam. Actually, I've heard there were a couple rumors, not good for the team. Their last qualifier match actually, where if they lost, they'd have been eliminated. They wouldn't be in competition, and one of the players on the other team got a DDoS attack during the tournament, and the other team almost had to forfeit, but he was able to get back online in time, so they wouldn't have to forfeit due to the 15-minute rule. But he did disconnect throughout the game, and their opponents actually won with a Vala bot, which should say something about Team Nam, I think, right away. But he had connection issues throughout the entire rest of the matches, and their opponents, or Team Nam, ended up taking the last two games, but it really wasn't a fair fight. And throughout the qualifiers so far, there's only been two times where one person was unable to connect very well, and they really believe both of them were due to a DDoS attack. Both of those people were playing against Team Nam. So not saying Team Nam's cheating or anything, but it's just kind of suspicious to see a team that in both matches where they would have been disqualified, someone on the other team gets sabotaged. It just feels off, and I hope we don't see that anytime here in the spring regionals, because this is supposed to determine who represents our country. So I don't want anything like that to influence this. But yeah. So in summary, Cloud9, Team Naventic, I think they're going to be top two. I don't think it's even close. The next two will be Tempo Storm and Team Blaze. I would probably put Blaze above Tempo Storm, just because they haven't looked very dominating at all in the qualifiers. It felt to me like they just kind of barely qualified in that third tournament. So we'll see how it goes. I'm thinking Blaze will be third, Tempo Storm will be fourth. I think Cog will probably be fifth, followed by Panda Global. King of Blades Alpha is really the dark horse. If they keep getting better at the rate they have, they could climb up this, but I'm probably putting them seventh and Team Nam last, just because I don't know how good they are. The only two matches I've seen of them, or the two rounds I've seen them play, were one with the person who was disconnecting, and another one when they played Bob Ross Fan Club and just got destroyed. Wasn't even close because Bob Ross Fan Club is so good. So let's continue. So we have the European scene, which is it's been, like this says, chaos, really. The teams have just shuffled players like crazy. The teams are supposed to be locked in, but I wouldn't doubt even a little bit if these teams switch up in the near future. I mean, these teams are like completely different from where they were last year. Um, but I guess just running through my picks, I think Liquid is probably going to take first place. They really kind of asserted themselves. I like the way they draft. I like the way they team fight. So I think Liquid is probably going to take the top one. Otherwise, it's just hard for me to make predictions because I don't really know the teams that well because there's so much shuffling going on. I mean, Dignitas isn't what they were last year. They were the runner-ups at World, and they lost two people, I believe. They've had to shuffle. They do still have, I think Bakery's with Dignitas still. He might be with Navi. Yes, okay, so Bakery's actually the captain now. That's good. Bakery is one of the best support players in the world, and one of my two favorite European players. So I think Dignitas is going to do well. I think they'll probably get runner up and go to Worlds again. Uh, but like I said, Bakery's on the team. He's one of my favorite players in the European scene. And then I also think Fnatic. I think this is the Swedish team, if I remember it. Yes, so Schwimpy. Schwimpy actually was, I forget if he was in Navi or Dignitas last year, but Schwimpy is my next favorite player in the European scene. Schwimpy is an incredible player. He's awesome. So I think this is going to be third, just because of who they have on the team. You can't really look at who's the best team. I think Liquid is the best team cohesively, but there's been so much moving, so much shuffling in the European scene that you really can't. These people haven't played enough games together to really grasp how good they could be. So the one I'm interested about is Navi, actually, because Navi dominated the European tournament last year. They won the entire European tournament without dropping a map. So even in the best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5, they swept everyone the entire time. Alex the Pro G, great player, but I mean, it's such a different team now, just like all of them are. And Navi has really, really dropped off. I haven't heard much about them. I don't know what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, because it's just they haven't played enough games together to really grasp them. So in the European scene where it's just hard to predict, I'm thinking Liquid is going to be first, and then it's either Dignitas or Fnatic. It's a toss-up. I'm going to say Dignitas is second, just because I think they're a little bit better of a team. But Fnatic, don't forget about him, because Shrimpy's a great player and he's in charge of the team now. So I think they're really going to be good. I think they will, and I'm so looking forward to watching all of these matches. It's so exciting that the tournament is already back. It feels like it was just a little while ago, which it was, where I watched the world tournaments and watched this game at the highest level of play. So so exciting. Yeah. I think Naventic is probably going to run away with this tournament. I think they're going to run away at Worlds. I love how they play. They're so aggressive. So be on the lookout. Team Naventic, Cloud9, Team Liquid, and Dignitas Fnatic. I think those are going to be our top teams in America and Europe. But I also think China and Korea are going to bring some heavy opposition. There's definitely no guarantee that North America is going to win the Worlds again. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So yeah, the North America Spring Regional is February 27th through 28th. There's tons of people streaming it all the time. You can probably watch it on YouTube on a stream. So just be on the lookout if you want to watch HOTS at the highest level. This is definitely the time to do it, and at Worlds in the near future. So my name is Dudesidabe. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave comments on how I'm doing right, and have a good night.